Hello, math students. Welcome back to Module 12, Statistics and Probability. This is Lesson 7, and it is called Random Sampling and Methods for Selecting a Random Sample. Our goal for today we will learn more about random sampling. The question that I want you to think about during this lesson is, how do you obtain a true random sample? So in our previous lesson, we talked about populations and we talked about sampling. And one of the really important things to make a survey valid is that you have to have a true random sample of your data. And what that means when we're talking about a random sample of the data is that it has to show that it is representing all of the population that you are trying to reach. And so it's really, really important that the samples be random so that there's no bias. And bias means that you have a stipulation that keeps you from including all of the types that you need included for it to be a true assessment. So for example, if I was trying to figure out what everyone's in Sanawa's favorite movie was, but I only asked the girls, then the boys would be upset because more often than not, girls don't like the exact same movies as boys. And so if we didn't do a true random sample, then the boys' opinions would not be counted, and therefore people would not have a true representation of the data that was collected. So it really does have to be random. Random samples can be chosen from any population or a population. The random sample can be generated by a system or it can be generated by a machine. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a system is in yesterday's lesson we talked about there being a formula like, okay, roll the dice, and if you get a 1 on this dice and you get a 4 on this dice, and then you identify what both of those dice are representing, that gives you a true random sample of who you're picking. Or it could be generated by a machine, and what I mean by that is there are actually websites that if you go to Google and you type in the search bar random survey generators, they will give you a little applet or a little app that you can actually even type in the names of all of the kids that you're trying to use a random sample for, and then you push go and it picks randomly. And that is computer generated or it's a machine generated, so it really is very, very random because there's no bias. There's no like, oh, well, I want a boy this time, or oh, I want a girl this time. So it's truly random. There are many computer applets or apps that can be used to randomly select a population, which is what I was just talking about. And then the most important thing to remember about random samples and random sampling is that it needs to represent the intended population that the data must reflect. So again, I'll go back to that example. If I was doing a survey in the School of Sanawa and I wanted to know what everyone's favorite soda was, but I chose to only ask teachers, then that is not a random survey because the only people that are in this building are not teachers. We have teachers, we have students, we have administrators, we have other staff that work here, but if I only ask the teachers, then my sample is only reflecting the opinions of the teachers. It's not reflective of the students, it's not reflective of the administrators, it's not reflective of the staff, it only represents the teachers, so this would not be considered a random sample. The random sample, if I'm talking about all of Sanawa, the random sample has to include everyone from those different groups. So there has to be a data collected from the students, there has to be data collected from the teachers, there has to be data collected from the administrators, there has to be data collected from the staff. And so you have to remember that your random sample needs to represent the intended population that the data must reflect. So it's very, very important to get a big picture of all the different kids that could be sampling. Okay? So that's basically all we have in this lesson. Is just that you need to know that accuracy of random sampling is very important to get valid data. So, goal for today we will learn more about random sampling. The question that I asked you to think about in this lesson is, how do you obtain a true random sample? I definitely believe that the answer to that question is that you have to use some kind of machine or a computer generated drawing system, or like sticks or something like that, that totally does not come from the person who's trying to get the information. It's just completely random. Okay? All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye.